so fucking depressed. I fucking hate my life. My dad thinks I'm a piece of shit. I've never accomplished anything because he's the fucking CEO of Microsoft and I'm a dumb germ. I can't go out. Yeah, I want friends. I want to be friends with people. Do you know what it's like? You know how hard it is to go to a party when your cousin is SARS? Yeah, my cousin's SARS. I'd love to meet this old bitch. My dad is Bill Gates. My mother's a bat. You think your family's fucked up? I wake up every day and there's another fucking news story that's not true. 6 feet. Stay 6 feet. I'm trying to help these people. They're fucking stupid. People are saying I live in farts. What kind of fucked up shit is that? Did I live in someone's asshole? Candace Owens doesn't even believe I'm real. Let me catch that bitch. Let me catch that bitch in a Whole Foods. I'll go right up her nose. You will not be able to transmit me to humans, but I have infected you. My dad's always like, yeah, we're gonna give you to every single person. That's what my dad wants to do. He wants to put a little bit of me in a needle and give it to 8 billion people. What do you think that does to my sense of self? I'm fucking real deal. You don't even know how I'm gonna affect you. Nobody knows. I might like your body, I might not. I go into somebody's bodies, I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. Has anyone ever asked me what the fuck I wanna do with my life? I wanna be something. I wanna have a lifestyle brand. I wanna have a clothing line, maybe. Nobody's asked me that. Nobody asked me to be in a fucking TikTok. Nobody wants to, be in a TikTok with COVID-19. No one wants that. So I'm just fucking alone all the time. I wish I was AIDS. I want to be AIDS! Do you hear me? I want to be AIDS! Ah!
It's Lucy and Jeff going for walks and talks, talk about banksters and Bitcoin and COVID and stuff. It's Lucy and Jeff and tacos and kisses. Hey Lucy, did you know you have a 0.02% chance of dying from COVID? I got way better chances of getting some bad tacos. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'd like to thank the Tom Dillon Show for that great intro video. And he actually did another great one on Epstein Island. he dressed up as the temple on Epstein Island. So we'll have to link to it down below if you want to go ahead and give give it a like, give it a subscribe. He's got a lot of great stuff on his show. Buenas tardes. Okay. No puedo controlar ella. Lucy, Ben. Yeah, but he's like, your dog's not allowed to just run around on the grass. I'm like, I can't control her. He's like, okay. So, well, let's get right into this because this is really important. Please share this video everywhere because a lot of people, well, a lot, that's understating it. Millions and millions and millions of people still are not getting access to the right information. And because of it, they're destroying the entire world. So the CDC has come out now, and you might remember Anthony Fauci. Remember that little Fauci guy? He actually wrote about a month or more ago in the New England Journal of Medicine, pretty well respected with medical people. I think it's all garbage anyway, but he said the death rate for COVID is 0.1%. And that is actually about what they say the flu death rate is. So we've had the entire world turned upside down for something that is no different in terms of deaths or hospitalizations than the flu. And now the CDC has come out and said it's actually a lot lower than that. Now, none of this is on the news, and I'll get into that on why. For anyone who's new, if you know this channel, you know why. The news isn't real information, it's propaganda and sensationalism in order to put everyone into fear. But there's no reason to fear. Well, there's reason to fear a little bit what all these governments are doing, as they're obviously destroying the entire economy. They're destroying millions and millions and millions of people, whether they've lost their jobs, lost their businesses. There should be massive repercussions for what people like Fauci and Nigel Ferguson Here's a little meme of Nigel Ferguson and all his predictions. That's what a lot of the governments used, both him and Fauci, as their reason for doing all these things. Ferguson for 20 years has been saying every year or two, millions of people are going to die from something. He's obviously insane. And he doesn't even work for the Imperial College anymore, and he's not even a advisor to the UK government anymore after breaking his own lockdown rules. But now we have the CDC coming out, and no one's reporting on this, of course. That's why you need to share this. Please share this everywhere. Get into every chat message board group. Every time someone brings up, oh, we got to stay inside another year or two because grandma might die, post this video. So here's the information. And this comes from the Ron Paul Institute. For those of you who might not know this channel, Ron Paul is an amazing man, a voluntarist, an anarchist, and he came quite close to winning the presidential election in 2008 and 2012, but the media, once again, made sure that didn't happen.
Why would they omit saying who was in second? Well, you know why, Ron Paul.
What do you think that is?
I think it's two things. I think one is some people don't want to hear the message because it's a threat to them, because I'm a threat to the establishment. Some, though, just flat out, they don't understand what freedom is all about.
Is Ron Paul being ignored by the media? 97% of you said yes, he is. 3% said no.
Ron Paul makes a lot of sense, and more people ought to listen to him.
But is there a media bias against him? Just from the media's point of view, isn't he good for the media? It's because he is such an extraordinary candidate that the mainstream media doesn't pay attention.
There is one candidate who has been largely ignored by the mainstream media. Shame on us. He deserves more attention from us than he's getting.
Congressman, your libertarian views are certainly somewhat unconventional, but they have picked up growing support in this race.
I'm fascinated with your word unconventional. Isn't it strange that we can apply that term to freedom and liberty and the Constitution, limited government is a balanced budget? You're proposing this unconventional idea of government.
So this is on his website. I'm just going to read a bit of it. The CDC just came out with a report that should be earth-shattering to the narrative of the political class, yet it will go into the thick pile of vital data and information about the virus that is not getting out to the public. For the first time, the CDC has attempted to offer a real estimate of the overall death rate for COVID-19, and under its most likely scenario, the number is 0.26%. Officials estimate a 0.4% fatality rate among those who are symptomatic and project a 35% rate of asymptomatic cases among those infected, which drops the overall infection fatality rate to just 0.26%, almost exactly where Stanford researchers pegged it a month ago. Plus, ultimately, we might find out that the IFR is even lower because numerous studies and hard counts of confined populations have shown a much higher percentage of asymptomatic cases. Simply adjusting for a 50% asymptomatic rate would drop their fatality rate to 0.2%, exactly the rate of fatality Dr. John Ioannidis of Stanford University projected. Given that at least half of the deaths were in nursing homes, a back-of-the-envelope estimate would show that the infection fatality rate for non-nursing home residents would only be 0.1%, or 1 in 1,000. And that includes people of all ages and all health statuses outside of nursing homes, since nearly all of the deaths are those with comorbidities. The CDC estimates the death rate from COVID-19 for those under 50 is 1 in 5,000 for those with symptoms, which would be 1 in 6,725 overall. But again, almost all those who die have specific comorbidities or underlying conditions. Those without them are more likely to die in a car accident. And school children whose lives, mental health, and education we are destroying are more likely to get struck by lightning. Yeah, so from the CDC, for school children, you have a better chance of being struck by lightning than dying from COVID. COVID-19! How
dare you?
I know, how dare I say it? How dare I say their own stats that you supposedly care about but don't pay attention to because it's not on your news. And why isn't it on the news? Well, if you're new to this channel, this might be news to you. Nothing on the news, any mainstream media has barely any truth to it. In fact, it's usually quite the opposite. And I mean almost everything. Everything except for some little local story where a guy got stuck in a well or something. But anything of importance, it's all propaganda and either complete lies, mostly lies, or has a skew on it that is the opposite of what it should be. And as an example, here's MSNBC. I don't know if anyone notices. I believe that means Microsoft NBC. Yes, Bill Gates has his own news channel. I don't watch any of them, so I've never even seen it. But here's just an example of what you're getting on something like MS, Bill Gates, NBC, compared to what the CDC is saying.
So they'll put on the mask knowing there's no real risk or benefit of the mask either way. You know, like the only risk is wearing the mask. You can't breathe, and that it causes all kinds of problems. And it creates a petri dish of germs, and it makes you touch your face more because you're fixing your mask. So they know that wearing a mask isn't going to stop anything. So they're just trying to mind control you. And when they're caught, they don't know what to say. They're caught with their pants down. And Trump today, talking to this news reporter, who basically wouldn't talk loud enough for Trump to hear him. So Trump said, hey, look, take off the mask and ask the question again. The guy's like, I'd rather keep my mask on. I'd rather keep my mask on. Sir, I'd rather keep my mask on.
Your second question was? I couldn't hear you. Can you take it off because I cannot hear you?
I'll just speak louder, sir.
Oh, okay, because you want to be politically correct. Go ahead.
No, sir, I just want to wear the mask.
Go ahead. Your second question was?
Honestly, I got to commend Trump for this one. Thank you, Trump. Interestingly enough, I don't think I've ever seen Trump wear a mask. It's just a thought. I don't know what that's all about. Like, I hear him pushing the vaccine on people, but then I hear him say as well, the vaccine isn't the end-all, be-all, and, we may not ever get the vaccine, so we got to focus on other things, really. But then he goes and he says he's going to deploy the military to give the vaccine.
And when they're not fear-mongering, trying to get everyone to wear masks, they're sending out the reporters to areas with a mask while no one else is wearing masks, including their own cameraman, and try to shame people who are not wearing masks. And this backfired on them a little bit just recently.
So the people there are just not worried about it, Cal? Are they not worried about their own personal safety?
I haven't met anybody who is. I met some folks actually from Lake Geneva who lived in the area. They were staying a few miles outside of town where I were, and they said they're worried about it. They're worried about that second spike. They're worried about folks coming in from Chicago. But they'll quickly add at the same time, this is a place that relies on that business. I think people here want a little bit more funding when it comes to these programs so that they could stay closed. But again, I think people felt like the Supreme Court made the decision here in Wisconsin that it was time to open up. But you can see, here, just around. Nobody's wearing them. Nobody's, there you go, including the cameraman. Yeah. Katie? And they said they're worried about it. They're worried about this.
It's amazing what these people will do. The lies they'll tell. The mind control.
So they could stay closed. But again, I think people felt like the Supreme Court made the decision here in Wisconsin that it was time to open up. So you can see, it's red. Nobody's wearing them. Nobody's,
including the cameraman.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Half your crew's not wearing them. Good. So thank you.
And of course, I've shown everything in the media, Associated Press, Sky News, complete propaganda. I even went and showed that in Mexico City. If you haven't seen that video, it's about a week ago. Mexico City exposed, Sky News exposed, fake news. They said everyone was dying, the crematoriums are running nonstop, the hospitals are full. I went, the hospitals were empty, the crematoriums are mostly closed or empty. And I just received from a friend who I know in Acapulco, who said, I just heard from a lady I know in Mexico, not in our circle of friends. She's in a small town in San Luis She just found out someone who died was offered money to list the deaths as COVID, and they didn't take the money. Very interesting. So in Mexico, according to one source, and this is what all the mainstream media says, an anonymous source, hang on, we got the private security coming again here. Watch out, Lucy. Lucy. All right. So from an anonymous source, because I don't want to say who it is, they might have problems here in Mexico, but they did say that they know someone who's offered money to say that their family member who died of something else died of COVID. And this is very par for the course. We've already shown over the last few months. Again, if you're new to our channel, just look back over the last few months of videos. Most of them aren't on YouTube. Over 20 have been deleted in the last 2 months. But all of our videos are on BitChute, Library, and on our website, which you can get down below. And we've been showing how, straight from government's mouth, so many health ministers have said, yeah, if you're in a car accident, we'll put you down as COVID. That's basically how it is.
There are other countries that if you had a pre-existing condition, and let's say the virus caused you to go to the ICU and then have a heart or kidney problem, some countries are recording that as a heart issue or a kidney issue and not a COVID-19 death. Right now, we're still recording it, and the great thing about having forms that come in and a form that has the ability to mark it as COVID-19 infection, the intent is right now that if someone dies with COVID-19, we are counting that.
So those death rates they're even saying are even less than what they say, even the CDC. There's basically no one really dying. So please share this video. Now you might be wondering, how did we get to a point where so many people have no idea what's going on? They just totally brainwashed, basically. Well, here's a video. This is 30 years old, and I think this is G. Edward Griffin interviewing this KGB defector, Yuri Bezmenov. It sounds exactly like G. Edward Griffin, and it looks kind of like him about 30 years ago. So if so, he's been doing this for a long time. He's the author of The Creature from Jekyll Island. Excellent book if you don't know it. But they talked about how they would destroy America. And everything they talk about, I'm going to have the link to the video down below, is exactly what's been going on for the last few decades. And I'll play a little bit of it here just to give you a taste, but you should watch the whole video.
Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the process which is legitimate, overt, and open. You can see it with your own eyes. All you have to do, all American mass media has to do, is to unplug their bananas from their ears, open up their eyes, and they can see it. There is no mystery. There is nothing to do with espionage. I know that espionage intelligence gathering looks more romantic. It sells more deodorants through the advertising, probably. That's why your Hollywood producers are so crazy about James Bond type of thrillers. But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students. Unlike in present United States, there will be no place for dissent in future Marxist-Leninist America. Here you can get popular like Daniel Ellsberg and filthy rich like Jane Fonda for being dissident, for criticizing your Pentagon. In future, these people will be simply squashed like cockroaches. Nobody is going to pay them nothing for their beautiful, noble ideas of equality. Demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C. The time bomb is ticking. With every second, the disaster is coming closer and closer. Unlike myself, you will have nowhere to defect to, unless you want to live in Antarctica with penguins. This is it. This is the last country of freedom and possibility.
Okay, so what do we do? What is your recommendation to the American people?
Well, the immediate thing that comes to my mind is, of course, there must be a very strong national effort to educate people in the spirit of real patriotism, number one. Number two, to explain them the real danger of socialist, communist, whatever, welfare state, big brother government. If people will fail to grasp the impending danger of that development, nothing ever can help United States. You may kiss goodbye to your freedom, including freedoms to homosexuals, to prison inmate. All this freedom will vanish, evaporate in 5 seconds. So basic, two very simple, maybe too simplistic answers or solutions, but nevertheless, they are the only solutions. Educate yourself, understand what's going on around you. You are not living at the time of peace. You are in a state of war, and you have precious little time to save yourself.
So in that video, he talked about how normalization, the word normal, the new normal, is actually a propaganda and a authoritarian style tactic to get people just to think that whatever's happening is now normal. And how many times have we heard from the prostitutes that this is our new normal? And interestingly, whoever the interviewer was, I think it was G. Edward Griffin. If you know, put it down below. But it sounds like his voice. But the interviewer asked him, you know, what can be done? Is there any way to change this? And basically his answer was education. If somehow millions of people could get educated to what's going on, then they won't fall for it. And of course, you're not going to get educated in the government schools. That's already all the propaganda. You're not going to get educated on television, of all places. The last place you're going to get educated is there. Really, the only chance is to share this information. And it really does work. And we even made up some flyers that you can go pass out or hand out or put in places that people can find them at dollarvigilante.com/flyer. And it actually leads to an ebook, which is some basic information on how to survive through this lockdown that they say is caused by COVID-19. COVID-19! And you can get that ebook at dollarvigilante.com/COVID. And that's really the only way to wake people up. And actually, I've been having some luck, finally. It's been months. I first started posting, I'm a hockey fan, and they say hockey's coming back now, but not in front of fans, of course, in July. Well, there's a lot of dogs here. Oh, there's a big one. And I posted on certain hockey YouTube channels. And man, the lashback, everyone's like, you're a brainwashed. The brainwashed people think people who aren't brainwashed are brainwashed. It's interesting. But in the last few days, since hockey's been back in the news a little bit, that they're coming back, I've seen a few videos and I posted on there that COVID, death rate's 0.1%, same as the flu. And instead of getting a lot of fight back from the commenters, there's actually been quite a few, not tons, but some, who have agreed with me and said, yeah, you're totally right. That is huge. So get into any group you can. If you're into baseball, go on some baseball YouTube channels and say, why are they not playing in front of fans? Here's the CDC, what they say on, get that information in front of people. Once they hear it from a few different sources, they'll start to wake up. But we talked about how the KGB guy was saying they've been working on this for decades and it has been working incredibly well. Here's an interesting video that I just found recently. And I believe, well, they're talking about a document that they say was on NASA's website. I haven't been able to confirm this. It's a little hard to do. But they say the document was called Future Strategic Decisions and Warfare. And according to them, it was put out in 2001. And it talked about using radiation frequencies against our brains, bioattacks on the US, exploiting the CNN syndrome, which means, oh no, I got it. Ah, crap. I made it this far. It's been 3 months. Finally got it. Yeah, got a little cough, so add me to the long list. Put me on the front page of the New York Times. Got another casualty here. It's been tough. But they've been talking about exploiting CNN syndrome, which means exploiting the fact that people actually believe what they see on television is true. They talk about how humans are basically have a negative value. And we'll let this woman explain it a bit. And we'll put the link to the full video down below. But basically what she's saying is NASA and all these US and other international agencies, NORAD and every 3 or 4 letter agency, all apparently helped put out this document on NASA's website about how they're going to destroy the whole world.
So who wrote this NASA document, and was this intentional? Did they want the public to see this, do you think, or?
Well, again, the Illuminati, the most wealthy, rich men on the face of the planet, always telegraph everything that they're going to do. So the fact that it was on the NASA website, it was certainly available to the public, but did they see it? Obviously not. Because had they looked at this document, you would know about it right now. And what it said, which was quite shocking, on page 93, it said, "Capture, torture Americans in living color on prime time." And that is an unbelievable statement. Then it's followed up by saying, "Terror attacks within the continental United States using binary biologicals take down critical infrastructure. They are going to use an EMP, which is an electromagnetic pulse. They're going to use radiation frequencies against our brains, etc., and conduct serious psy-war and collateral damage and exploitation. On this same page 93, they say exploit CNN syndrome. Now, CNN, of course, is the network, the news media network, propaganda machine, and was set up by the CIA. You can watch the movie called Psy-War on stopthecrime.net for all the background information on CNN. Very, very interesting information. Then you go on and you read that on page 66, they say increasingly critical are human limitations and human downsides. Humans are too large, humans are too heavy, too tender, humans are too slow, both physically and mentally, and we require huge logistical trains, meaning we cost way too much money to maintain, and humans have rapidly decreasing to negative value. We are USA Inc. We're no longer under a constitution as proclaimed in the Iron Mountain Report, which everyone should read. On stopthecrime.net, you can download it not only as the document, but you can watch the documentary, which I highly recommend. You will see how the stealth and deceptive, incrementally positioned attacks upon the Constitution have rendered us now a corporation. And we no longer have a legitimate government. We are being controlled by corporations and banks that are posing as a legitimate government, and they're not. We wouldn't have a legitimate government with the war machine stating what they were going to do on the continental United States to all the people. And this is not just in the United States. This is a global planned attack and assault with technologies beyond most people's comprehension. They also talk about microdust as a weapon. They say that this micron-sized mechanized dust, which is distributed as an aerosol and inhaled into the lungs, the dust mechanically bores into the lung tissue and executes various pathological missions. They say it's a completely new type of warfare, and it is legal. It's legal. This is what they're going to do to all the humans on the face of this planet. It's all legal. And then they talk about how the use of frequencies will be used in warfare. And we know, for example, the smart meters that are being deployed around the globe, the replacement of our electric meters, which will also and does include the replacement of all of our gas meters and our water meters as well, and will be connected to our food supply when they collapse the currency and they issue energy allowances, and that will all be controlled through the metering system.
And just for all you guys out there who like NASA and think they do space stuff, they're a military organization. Everything that they say they do is lies. Just look at the moon landing. I mean, 50 years ago, they're playing golf on the moon. Like 7 times in a couple of years, just going up, playing golf. Clearly, if you look into it, it's obviously not true. And everything else they put out, even the space shuttle disaster in the 80s, all the astronauts are still alive. Yeah, look into it. Anyway, but if you think NASA's about space and you're all excited about their new things they're coming out with, it's all fake, it's all lies, just like everything else. So, meanwhile, CNN really wants to get the kids to believe all this stuff. So they did a full town hall with Sesame Street, and it's all your favorites from Sesame Street all telling you to wash your hands, stay 6 feet away from anybody, even though the CDC just said the chances of a school children aged person dying of COVID is less than being struck by lightning.
Hi, Emma. Hi, everybody. Bird. Thank you for joining us for this town hall.
Oh, I'm so excited, Elmo. A town hall.
A town hall. A town hall.
Yay!
So while Elmo eats his breakfast, we should get started. This is the ABCs of COVID-19, a CNN and Sesame Street special.
Hi everyone, I'm Erica Hill, along with my friends Dr. Sanjay Gupta and Big Bird. And today we're going to discuss COVID-19 and its effect on children and families.
Erica, Dr. Sanjay, I have a question.
Well, that's great, Big Bird, because that's exactly why we're here, why we're having this family town hall about COVID-19.
Oh, that's my question. That's it.
What is?
Well, you said, COVID-19. Well, what is COVID-19? Is it just a bunch of letters and numbers?
That's such a great question, Big Bird. Those letters and numbers reference something that's making people sick. You know, you may have also heard it called the coronavirus.
Oh, yeah. Is the coronavirus why we have to stay at home?
Yep, that's right, Big Bird. COVID-19 has become a pandemic, and that means it's spread to large numbers of people all over the world.
But remember, Bill Gates and so many people have said that this is just epidemic 1 or pandemic 1, what I call plandemic. And numerous of them have actually said it's mostly a test, but they're coming out with the next one soon. And it was actually in the, what was it, the UN? Might have been I think it was the UN. Yeah, it was a UN document. We reported on that. It probably got taken off YouTube already. But saying that they're going to do two sort of tests, sort of trial runs this year. So we have the next one coming. So if we're going to have any chance, we have to wake up lots of people between now and the next one. And the next one might be a lot more real. They might kill a lot more people. So you should be aware of that. But this was actually on the Telegraph in the UK. Second more deadly wave of coronavirus expected to hit Europe this winter. Europe's top World Health Organization official warns that second spike could coincide with outbreaks of other infectious diseases. How do you know that? Well, because they do them. They're not trying to help you from them, they do them. And if you haven't figured that out yet, look into it, because all of our futures depend on if enough people wake up. Between now and the second planned pandemic.
To be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1.
And I often hear people saying, well, you know, this happened once before. In 1918, the Spanish flu. So, you know, this could just be totally natural. Okay, how do you know that happened? Well, they told us in the government schools, right? Okay, how else? Well, there was a documentary on the television programming. How else did you know? That's it? Yeah, so you don't know anything. You know propaganda. I don't know what happened, but I keep looking into it because I'm like, okay, they keep referring to this Spanish flu, which wasn't even Spanish, and also wasn't even the flu. Not a big surprise, but here's an interesting article I found. I'm not going to read anything from it, but I'll just put in the links down below. Did psychopath Rockefeller create the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918? What this article goes into is information that shows it was caused by vaccines given to everyone after World War I. So get ready for your vaccines. Everyone waiting for the vaccines? That will probably be the actual pandemic. So obviously don't take them. Or sorry, YouTube, take them. Yes, definitely take them. Yeah, I would never say don't take them. That'd be crazy. And you know, whatever the WHO says, we got to do, right? So anyway, definitely take the vaccines and get ready, because that will probably be the actual so-called pandemic. There'll be tons of people dying. So we have to get this information out so people know this beforehand. And who knows, maybe we can even stop it. It's going to be tough at this point. We're already way past the point of no return on this one. But, you know, we put a lot of information in our newsletter about getting ready for what's coming. Like I said, you can get our free ebook at dollarvigilante.com/COVID or sign up to our newsletter. We just put out our latest issue today, and it's full of information. I put in a ton of information, all our guys did, what's going to happen, how to protect yourself. And if you do the right things, you'll be okay. But most people are not going to be okay. This is going to be crazy. This is going to be horrible. And for those of you who are like, what's he talking about? The things they say on the mainstream television programming, on the news, it's all propaganda and lies? Yeah, it is.
You filled up your gas tank lately, then you don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
You don't need us to tell you gas prices are back on the rise.
But you don't need us to tell you that gas prices are back on the rise.
What a giant coincidence. It couldn't be a conspiracy. That's crazy to even think it's a conspiracy. You gotta be crazy if you think some people plan these things. But man, what a huge coincidence. They said the exact same things on every channel, whether it's Fox or ABC or CBS, or name any three-letter government agency. They said it on all of them. Here's something interesting. For the first time, Twitter has actually tagged tweets by Donald Trump as misinformation and appended a link where readers can get the facts below the tweet's primary text. So, much like most of us, we're shadow banned, deleted, banned, censored, and there's always, if you're watching on this YouTube right now, I guarantee you there's a World Health Organization little link right there. But now they're doing it to even Trump. Now Trump says tons of insane things, and he's obviously runs the world's largest terrorist organization. He runs the world's well, he doesn't run it. He's like the spokesperson for the world's largest extortion racket called the IRS. And he also says he's going to kill people on Twitter. I thought that was against their guidelines. But anyway, they've started to actually post some of his stuff as misinformation now. Welcome to our new world. And Johns Hopkins University, who has been definitely one of the major players, along with the CDC and the World Health Organization, of this complete terror attack on the world, has actually started a course training contact tracers, and already, here's sadness, 250,000 people have already signed up for it. And I know why, because millions of people are unemployed. So, oh, the government's hiring. Oh, it pays pretty good. Of course it does. You're going to track down all your neighbors and get them all vaccinated, get them put into camps, separated from their families. So yeah, that's not very good news. And now Apple and Google have just both put out updates just recently that will include contact tracing built into the phones. So I've been saying for a while now, stop using those services, Google, Apple. You know, Apple's first computer, just to give you a little hint. Oh, Steve Jobs is a real hero. Oh, really? You ever, where'd you hear that? Oh, he has documentaries on the television programming? Yeah, interesting. Look into them. Their first computer sold for $666.66. Not to mention the Apple with the bite taken out of it. You might know where they got that as well. So don't take those new updates on your phones unless you want to be tracked and traced and have SWAT teams come to your door. And I mentioned this in our last video or 2 videos ago. It's a great company putting out all kinds of Faraday cage type stuff. So you can buy a sleeve for your phone, so when it's on, no one can trace where you're at. It shuts down the signal from getting through. You can even get backpacks and stuff like that. I would definitely get one of those if you're going to be in places like the US and major cities. If you don't want to be tracked and traced and to have cops show up at your door, you can pick one up at dollarvigilante.com/silent. But people are starting to wake up. It's going to be close here. Like, seriously, share this video everywhere, please. Like, imagine if, like, there's going to be 50,000 views on this. Imagine if everyone shared it 10 times. That'd be 5 million places that people would have access to this. And I'm not doing it because I want to make a ton of money from all the views. I don't even monetize on YouTube. Yeah, maybe if they sign up for our newsletter, I'll make a little bit, but it's not for that reason. I want to actually have a world that we can live in in the next couple of years. So please share this stuff. Now in Hong Kong, I've said this before, Hong Kong has some of the most amazing people in the world. It's a very anarcho-capitalist type society, very freedom oriented. It's kind of how the US thought it used to be like 100 years ago. The one thing they don't have though is guns, which is the sad thing. If they did, none of this would be happening right now. But they're back and fighting again. And they don't care about this COVID because it doesn't really exist. It's not killing hardly anyone. It's a propaganda, fear-mongering scheme. But man, they got some great people over. I'm just gonna play a few seconds of this video. We'll have the full video down below.
The shopping district of Causeway Bay is bustling again with protesters.
We are fighting for a permanent future. I have no one to love. I have nothing to care but this. So I'm willing to die for this. Why? Because this is our home. Why won't you fight for your home? As simple as that. Why won't you fight for your home? We are trying to do our best to fight for at least for 2 or 3 decades. Do you see the students around here? When 2047 comes, they will all be slaves. They are just when 2047 comes, these students will all become middle-aged, and they will all be slaves. We will all be slaves. If we don't fight right now, we don't have another chance.
What does Hong Kong people, the Tibetans, Xinjiang have in common? You call all of us cockroaches, and that is what Hitler called before they massacred the Jews. You are planning for another Holocaust. This is massacre. What Martin Luther King said. Justice everywhere is injustice everywhere. You have the opportunity to show to the world what civilized China can be. But you know what? You have failed badly. We want freedom, and freedom is what we will get. Give me liberty or give me death. Because Hong Kong is where the land of the brave, and we are brave!
So that is great to see. There's still some hope there. We're running out of hope, guys. We're gonna need a miracle here. But it really can be if every single person watching this shares it. Like, we can actually stop it or slow it down a lot. And it's really up to us. So, like, everyone watching this, please just go on MSNBC and share this. Go on if you speak Spanish. By the way, we're gonna have the Spanish version, complete Spanish version of my Mexico City video out probably tomorrow as well, or even today. And I'll actually be saying the sort of the monologue in Spanish, in my Spanglish. Share that on any Mexican websites. Basically, our only hope is us. And if we don't, this is gonna get so bad, no one will believe it. And man, I don't even want to show this. Maybe I'll show just a few seconds. This is a really disgusting video. It's in Minneapolis, and it's a guy, I don't know anything about what happened, but I watched a bit of the video and I had to turn it off. It made me sick. So I'm not going to play too much here. I don't want to make anyone too sick. Here's a order follower who gets paid from extorted money, so he's already a criminal, with his knee on a guy's neck for like a long time, like, I don't know, I didn't watch the whole video, 10, 20 minutes, while the guy begged, saying he couldn't breathe, and he killed him, while all the other cops stood around and made sure no one interfered with the murder.
Man, I can't breathe in my face. Just get up.
What do you want?
I can't breathe. Please, the knee in my neck. I can't breathe.
Bro, get up, get in the car, man.
I will.
Get up, get in the car.
I can't move.
I've been waiting the whole time, man. Get up.
And yeah, this is welcome to police states. And a lot of people in Minneapolis are very unhappy about this, which they should be. You know, if anyone had even just charged through, saw what was happening, and just knocked the guy who had his knee on the guy's neck, knocked him off of him, yeah, you probably would have got beat up a little bit, maybe even a lot. Might have got shot, it's possible. Most likely is they'd wrestle you to the ground and put you in handcuffs, take you to jail for assaulting a police officer. But you know what would have happened? You can see the protests, how quickly those happen. That's because we have the internet still. If someone had done that, they'd already have a crowd fund going that would probably have raised them millions of dollars already, both for their legal defense fund, but also just for them personally. And people like myself and so many others would make sure we cover that story so that they eventually had to basically let the person go. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, do the right thing. If you see cops killing someone, try to stop them, and you will become a hero. And if they do kill you, you will be a hero in the afterlife. So be that hero. You know, I'm not saying, because I'll get kicked off YouTube, to go out and just kill cops. But if they're killing people, stop them. If you're a man, you have to. And again, people just stood there with their cell phones. I could not have stood there with my cell phone while I watched this guy die right in front of me. At the very least, I would have, like I said last time, gone in there like a bowling ball, just knocked them all down and told the guy to run. But I just want to leave that. But the protests about it are very big. We're going to see a lot of that, and they're expecting that. So interesting times ahead. But I'll just leave it there because, you know, we talked about so much, and there's so much going on. But again, just share this video, please. This shows the CDC saying this is actually less than the regular flu. And there's still people in their houses all hiding. Except for Lucy. I'm never hiding. I don't care what any government says, what the World Health Organization says. If I want to go for a walk, I'm going for walks. If I want tacos, I'm going to get some tacos. You try to stop me, you better have your ankle guards on.
The severe economic and social damage of the coronavirus lockdowns will be monstrous. 40% or more of businesses will never reopen. Millions of jobs will be lost, and trillions of monopoly dollars will be created out of thin air. Thanks to the government's overreaction, billions of lives will be ruined through inflation, depression, domestic violence, starvation, murder, suicide, and more. Have you noticed the coming destruction, but been accused of only caring about money? Or told that if the lockdowns save just one life, it's worth it? Have you been called heartless or told to follow the science? Because science tells us something is very wrong, and your freedom, experiences, and ability to take care of your family are vanishing. If this isn't stopped soon, they'll be gone forever. But Bill Gates, his elite friends, and the world's governments will continue as long as you let them. And their cure is worse than the disease. But you see through it, and you're probably wondering what you can do. Join the movement to save our planet by helping the Dollar Vigilantes spread the truth and fight the misinformation spreading about coronavirus. Wake up your friends, family, coworkers, local business owners, and everyone you care about. Download our free flyer and pass it to everyone you know. There's no opt-in necessary, and it's available in several languages. The only way to stop tyranny and continue living the life you want, with the freedom to socialize, run your business, and keep your job, is for all of us to work together. You can take a stand and prepare those you care about for what happens next, but not for much longer. Download your free flyer now